Okay. Hey everybody, it's Sarah.
And this is Megan.
And this is It's Always the Husband podcast.
Welcome.
Thank you for listening.
We have a great mystery for you. It's one of my favorite shows that we're doing today. Murder in the Heartland.
Do you watch the show otherwise?
I have been, one time I accidentally sat in my mom and dad's basement and watched like a marathon on whatever cable, and I loved it.
Yeah.
So I got excited when I found this one. Yeah. But this one's really, really good. I'm excited to talk about it.
They just had a new season or something. Yeah. So this is brand new.
Yeah. But before we talk about it, we have to keep people in suspense and annoy the shit out of them while we talk about nonsense for a few minutes.
We do talk about
we do.
But this is very special and important. We have new Patreon members.
We do?
We have a new Momoa. So Carrie Martin became a Momoa. So we're going to give her a Momoa shout out.
What's he going to say?
He's going to say something sexy, probably. So here it is.
Okay.
And there it was.
Oh, nice. God, I love it. He could say poop, and I would think it was sexy.
He probably would. And he didn't smell, because I have met him. He didn't smell.
And people say that he does.
And he didn't have any kind of terrible
stench. So you can just, tell everybody to
I've heard Brad Pitt stinks horrifically and literally doesn't shower. But then I don't know. I've never met him. So if I do, I'll see. But he smelled good. Jason Momoa did. Which, thank goodness. Thank goodness.
Thank good.
But Carrie, thank you so much. We are just honored. Thank you. You can enjoy episodes. You can see our video version first before we put it on YouTube. And Katie Hoffman, welcome.
Katie,
thank you so much. And Charlotte Scales. Charlotte. I love Charlotte. And Lizzie Gem. Truly outrageous.
She is.
Truly outrageous.
Gem.
Thank you.
The music's contagious.
Ladies, we are just blown away.
Gem is my name.
Gem. Gem who... Alright, so Gem when she was Jerica was dating the guy, right? With the purple hair. Rio. And then Gem also flirted with Rio, and Rio flirted with Gem, and not realizing that he's cheating on his own girlfriend.
But Jerica. She knew the whole time.
She did, because it's her.
That Rio was flirting with Gem, and it was her and her.
Right.
And she still never dumped him.
Never. And then she Gem flirted with season 3. There was a male rock band group and a guy with real long hair, and Gem flirted with him a lot.
But then they found out
and it went nowhere. Maybe.
Yeah.
But they were risky with their love, Gem. And she lied to a lot of people.
And she should have ashamed of herself.
Yeah.
She was Hannah Montana before.
She was Hannah Montana before.
Was cool.
Yeah. An amazing lady. But thank you, Patreons. You can go to Patreon and join if you want and hear drunken episodes.
And we'll send you some stickers.
Yeah.
Yay!
We also have some Facebook funnies because we are on Facebook and Instagram and all that. And we like in our Instagram or our Facebook group, we have very funny people, and new people have been joining every day. So welcome and don't be shy.
So please find us. Just go to Facebook and look up It's Always the Husband podcast group.
Yep. And then click join, and you can come in. I enjoyed Leah Klinger's Wilford Brimley shirt.
I knew you were going to say that one.
I thought, she said she needs one in every color, and I feel like we all need them in every color.
Oh, I hope the cat doesn't start on fire.
He will.
Oh. I agree. I knew you were going to love that
diabetes. I think Wilford Brimley needs to come back into the mainframe.
And then someone else
fading out into, people don't know him. He's long dead.
Oh.
I feel he passed a ways ago. But maybe, I don't know. I feel like he died 75 years ago.
No, he died in In 2020.
Oh!
That is not very long ago.
Oh, Wilfred, I'm sorry. I thought you long were dead.
No.
I thought the beats got you long ago. The beats only got you a very short time ago.
No.
What do I know, Wilfred? Maybe because he looked 100 when he was 40.
Yeah, and do you know what? He was only 85 when he died.
Oh, no way! He was like 162! Was he born looking 80? Going to kindergarten and going, no, brother. With his mustache and his gray hair.
Oh, God. Now that I'm reading this is just
now look at what was the show called that he had with Marlena again? Like Our Home?
Yeah, Our House.
Our House.
It was called.
And what's his name? It was on Dr. Quinn. To the boy.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. I can't remember. But, so, he was born in Utah. He was a Mormon. And then he went to Hollywood. And
he had big dreams.
He did. So he was in, oh my God, he was in Walker, Texas Ranger.
I feel like that's where he belongs.
And he was on an episode of Seinfeld.
Oh, I didn't watch much Seinfeld. I'm just starting to kind of watch.
Okay. What year was that show?
That had to be the 80s.
80. Amber was Murder in Space. At Our House, yes. Yep. Our House. And then he was in Cocoon, too. Remember that movie? Yeah.
He was like 42 in Cocoon. And he looked 82. Maybe it is the beats aged him.
It was in 1985 when he was in Cocoon.
But everybody in the 80s looked old just because our hairstyles were so aging.
Yeah. Do you think ours will age us when people look back in 30 years? Or no?
I don't know, because everybody had that old lady perm look.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of perms, it's in our show today.
Yeah, she got a perm.
Oh, she got a perm.
In our show.
I was wondering why.
Did you have a Facebook Funny?
I do. My Facebook Funny was, so we had sent that thing to each other about the lady who was reading at the commencement.
Yeah, she fucked it up hardcore.
And even names like
Tomome.
He goes, Thomas! Somebody yelled, Thomas! And she was like, oh. Like, she couldn't say any
because it was all phonetically written.
Okay, well, whoever phonetically wrote them was an idiot, because that doesn't look.
They didn't sound
like that.
And it was like Sarah Gray.
Yeah.
And she was reading it like a crazy psycho.
Gray.
Yeah.
And then it just didn't make any sense. But anyway, we laughed at that. And then my favorite part was that Sharon. So Shannon Jensen posted that, and then Sharon Smith Nunn wrote, did she go to the Adele Dazeem School of Name Pronunciation? Yeah, when
dumbass Jackson went to Adele Dazeem for what's her name from Frozen?
For Idina Menzel.
Yeah, it's not even close, Adele Dazeem.
And then I found it and watched it again, and I just kept laughing so hard. So I said, that's for sure my glitter in the shitter, was her comment on the post. It was so fucking funny. I loved it.
Well, that was my coworker. Her daughter graduated, and they spell her name Callie. It's C-A-L-I, I believe. And so she gets called Kaylee a lot, and they did everything they could to try to have them say Callie, and they still said Kaylee. And she was so upset. And then her son, in his senior yearbook, in baseball, I think it was, they didn't even put his name. They just put somebody. Like, so I sent this to her right away. I'm like, this has to be one of your kids' graduations. You can never get your names right. Oh my god,
I love it.
Yeah, and then we discussed what gets us through our very shitty week.
And you had nothing.
I really have nothing, and I thought maybe I could say LaCroix.
LaCroix's gotten us through the last 30 years.
No, but it did really get me through this week.
Are you drinking the legit LaCroix, or are you still drinking some lime LaCroix? Okay.
So I will say lime LaCroix. Because when I'm at work, I can't have booze, and I can't have cigs, and I can't have any kind of gummies, and I can't have acid, and I can't have jankum.
No.
And I'm struggling to get through horrific situations where it looks like Vietnam out in front of you. These Vietnam deodorants. Just battles and blood and swearing and yelling and disasters and body parts flying and just shittery to the left and shittery to the right, shittery everywhere. And I can't have anything but a lime LaCroix. I go and crack one open, and they, how come you can have a can? And that we can't. And I say, because I'm an old lady, and it's my room, and I'm an adult, god damn it.
Today, the deodorants in the trades program tried to sit in my teacher chair. Like I said, go listen to your podcast outside, and they, instead of going out of the room, went and tried to sit in my teacher chair. And I said, get out of my teacher chair.
Weird things?
And they were like, why can't we sit there? I said, when you have a college degree and you have taught for 26 years and have to teach a room full of 40
dicks,
40 boys in the trades program, then you can sit in that chair. Until then, go outside of the room and sit on the floor. Love you guys. They did move, though.
Good.
They did. So good for them. My glitter in the shitter is something that I shouldn't have purchased, but I did. I went... What? Oh, no. It's surprising. I went to Costco, like I always do, and I got some hanging plants.
I can't go to Costco because of the big carts.
Yeah.
They give me anxiety.
You have to... Yeah, I know. You get anxiety a lot. I just...
Those big carts just are evil. There's something evil about those big carts.
Well, I needed them because I put 2 potted hanging plants in them. And then I got my ferns there too, and I get 3 ferns every time. Yeah. So I went to get my flowers, and then of course I was like, well, I can't just leave. I have to walk through, take a tool through the store. And I went past the clothing, and I just happened to touch the top of some of these pants, and I was like, hell yes, I'm getting these pants. They were $14.99. Okay. So then I didn't even, I just grabbed them. I tried them on. They were like a cool green color kind of. And so I wore them we had a huge dance competition this weekend, which I'll tell you about later. No big deal. I fucking danced in it and got a platinum elite, but whatever, which is the best you can get. But before that, I was wearing my new Costco pants, and another dance mom came up to me and was like, oh my God, we're wearing the same pants. And
was she a fucking nerd? Or is she cool? Because that will depend on how I react to the story.
She's cool. Okay. And I said, are we? And mine, they were a little different color, and I touched hers, and I was like, oh my God, they feel exactly the same. Then I said, but yours have a tag on them. Hers were Viori, like Vuori, and apparently it's a very fancy leisure wear shop that I actually walked in. Like I walked into it one time and I thought, why is everything cream and brown and the same? And then I just walked out. But I know I've seen them advertised, and they're really expensive. So she was like, yeah, I just got these at Brewery. And I said, I just got mine at Costco.
And she couldn't tell the difference.
And they looked exactly the same. And everyone said it. And even to the like tie around the waist was the same, except mine were Costco and they were $14.99, and hers were Viori and they were $93. Oh, yeah. And she said, I bought 3 of these because I liked them so much. And I was like, well, I'm going to go back to Costco and get 2 more, but mine will still be $14.99. Yeah. And you spent whatever, $95 times 3. I know. So if you have a Costco membership, go there right now. They're called the Kirkland Signature Lightweight Joggers. At my Costco, they had them in 3 different colors. I'm going to go back. I got like the greenish ones, but I'm going to go back and get more because they literally feel like heaven. And since I'm now against tight pants of any sort, that's all I'm going to wear. Thank you.
Oh, well, that's a wonderful find.
It was. And I wore my Target purse, which was my glitter last week, and everyone loved it and said, I got so many compliments on my purse again. So, again, Target, yay for cheap purses, and Costco, yay for your signature lightweight joggers. Suck it, Viore.
Right, I have the Spanx Air Essentials.
Yeah.
They're like $2 million. But, I mean, they're the softest fabric you've ever felt.
I wonder if they have a knockoff at Costco.
Maybe. But I got mine on super discount because I got like a poop brown color.
Oh, good.
Yeah. But they were very soft.
Sorry, I have to refill.
Anyway, should we dive into this story here?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, we're in the year 2000. I looked up, 2000 was weird. It was the year of NSYNC and Christina and Britney doing Toxic. All the Spider-Mans coming out constantly with Tobey Maguire. Spider-Man.
I never saw one of those, did you?
I think I saw the first one.
I don't know. Year 2000.
And not much else, but it was good times. Fashion was terrible with terrible low-riding pants and terrible high-riding tit tops. And again, you had to be a size 0 to look good in anything.
Do you know what I just read happened in the year 2000?
No.
The last naturally conceived Pyrenean ibex was found dead.
Oh.
Killed by a falling tree.
Oh, no.
But I don't know what a Pyrenean
They must be conceived in zoos
is.
now.
Pyrenean ibex.
People are terrible to animals.
Oh.
I feel like they have cute horns.
Their horns are weird.
Yeah.
They're like
the unicorn type. Twisty?
They're huge and they have these big ridges on them.
Wow. Well, that's sad for
Sorry
them.
to see that.
Sorry to bring it all down.
Go. That happened in the year 2000.
Yeah, that's a lot. 2000 doesn't seem like it should be that long ago, and it's fucking forever.
I know.
Forever ago.
Sorry about your luck that tree fell on you.
That's sad. But we watched, like you said, Murder in the Heartland.
Mm-hmm.
I found it on Discovery Plus, but I think it might be on Hulu. I don't know. We watched season 9, episode 1, called Uncomfortable Truths.
I watched it on Discovery Plus.
Yes,
Is that where
I
you
did too.
Yeah, okay.
And we're going to Wisconsin.
Yes.
Wisconsin is a state where they eat a lot of cheese, and they fart all the time, and they drink beer nonstop.
Beer everywhere.
And, well, they're a simple folk. And we're going to Poynette. I don't know where the hell it is, but it's...
I do know.
You do? Where?
It's by my favorite Wisconsin place, the Wisconsin Dells.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's very near there.
I feel like when I go to the Wisconsin Dells and look at the folk at Wisconsin Dells, I wish for an eclipse eye injury. I want to bring multiple paper bags to put over everyone's head.
I want that when I put on my swimsuit for the first time every year.
I want everyone to have
Wisconsin Dells.
when I have my swimsuit on. Yes.
But then I have 13 drinks and I say, who the hell cares?
I don't know if I could do Wisconsin Dells again.
Where are my kids? I don't know. Give me a beer.
I loved it as a kid. Like, that's the best place you could have ever gone to as a kid, Wisconsin Dells.
I love it
Noah's
now.
Ark and going on all those. Oh.
So don't even talk
Right
to me
now,
about it. It's my favorite place.
$1 million. I couldn't do it for $1 million.
We're literally going
I feel like everything you touch has Ebola.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure it does.
And everything, in just you breathing in some sort of horrible anthrax. And the folk, just crotch smell.
It's the love of my life.
I know.
And we all go together and we have the greatest time.
We really do.
We already have our cabana rented for the first day we're there.
shit.
I know. It's less than a month. The countdown is on.
I can't handle it.
Get ready, Wisconsin Dells.
I would need a full bodysuit of
Shauna's Dance Studios coming.
plastic. And anyway, Poynette, Wisconsin has a population of 2598. Very small.
And they tell us right away that the name was actually a fuck up.
Yeah.
Like, some guy named Poiquet found it.
And the fuckers couldn't spell his
I don't know
or the fuckers of the town couldn't spell
it, but it ended up being Poinet, so sorry.
I like Poinet better.
I do too. Poiquet is, nah. So
we start with some it's real folks, and this is the show that does reenactments, but the reenactments are just crotches. Did you ever notice that sometimes they're dark? Mm-hmm. And it's just full-on crotch and bulge. Mm-hmm. They never do an upper body.
No.
Or they always do from behind, and it's a butt. And the reenactor butts here were very square and very flat and very wide. And then the crotches were also very flat. There wasn't much bulge. So it wasn't quality butt or quality crotch, but it's the type of reenactment where they don't even try to hire a lookalike, which I appreciate a little bit for the lack of effort. They just film it mid.
It's just dark.
Mids.
Yeah.
It's dark and it's mid.
Yeah.
But we see the real people as well. We start with Kimberly Heller, who is the haircut lady, the salon owner of Poinet.
Yes.
So she knows every gossip of everybody, because pretty much everyone goes to her to get her hair done.
The inside of her shop is painted purple.
Yeah.
A very bright but dark purple.
It was.
Mm-hmm. It's what you would expect.
Yeah. And she is the friend of kind of one of our main characters here, Beth Kutz.
Yes.
And Beth would go to Kimberly and have her hair done. In fact, she had her hair done like on a Tuesday, let's say. And Beth said, or Kimberly said, she would come in, they were friends, she was very, great to talk with and kind and nice, and she had her 2 kids, like a 10-year-old girl or 8-year-old girl, Jennifer, and then a younger son, Jacob, and she was just so kind and likable, and she was getting her perm. So she got her perm done at this time, and this is July 27th, 2000, about 2 p.m. is about 2 days later. So this was like July 25th when Kimberly saw her, and she got her perm, and everything seemed, she was kind of, well, we'll get to that. Then we pop ahead to July 27th, 2000, I guess at 2 p.m., and she's at work at Demco.
At Demco.
And it looks like a factory of sorts. And I felt like I kind of want to work at Demco.
It looked like everyone there was very friendly with each other.
Yeah.
Did you think that?
I felt like it was like the pork palace.
Yeah.
But I kind of wanted to work at Demco because it looks like they just walked around. Well, then you put stuff into a machine once in a while, and I thought, I want that job.
That's just a job in manufacturing. You can get that job. I can help you do that.
To anybody.
No, I can help you do that.
We see Beth's mom, who I liked right away. Her name was Ellen Mayer.
Oh.
And your heart breaks for her, like in half. Breaks the whole time.
I know.
And she says right away, like, she worked at Demco with Beth. They were coworkers together, her daughter. And she said, we worked together, and she was my very best friend. And Ellen said, we had lunch together that day, and she's like, I remember it was a taco salad. Like, she remembers the last lunch they had. And Ellen got off at 1 and said, bye, see you later, whatever. She said, that was the last time I ever saw her. I mean, you're just, like, your heart cracks in half. You can't even... and then we see her bestie, Kitsy Muniz. Muniz? Kitsy.
That was an odd name.
It is an odd name for Poinets. But I like Kitsy Muniz.
You liked her, just the person?
I liked her, and I like Kitsy as a name.
Okay.
It grew on me.
It's cute.
They're besties, and Kitsy she said she was a stay-at-home mom with a baby in 2000, but she wasn't in daycare, but she just watched Beth's kids. Mm-hmm. And Beth was to pick up her kids after work at about 3:30, and Kitsy noticed 3:30 comes and goes, and there's no Beth, and it's totally unlike her. And Beth would have called or said, I'm late, I'm running late, like I'll be there in a minute or whatever. No call. Beth is later and later. And then Ellen, the mom, calls, I think because they were supposed to meet up, maybe. And she said, did Beth come get the kids? And Kitsy says, no, not yet. That's not like her at all. And I haven't heard from her. And Ellen gets really concerned.
Right away, the mom's like, bam.
No, something's wrong. Because that's just, her daughter just wouldn't ever do that and not talk to anybody.
Right.
So Ellen knew right away something was wrong. As you would when someone does, if someone doesn't show up and they usually would call or tell you, you would know something's wrong right away. And I don't know why police don't ever believe you, but they don't a lot. I guess they have to leave time, but sometimes, like someone wouldn't just not show up, or this is very unusual behavior. Something's very wrong. Ellen sees, so she's going to go out and just like seriously drive around the town and look for her, or look for her car. It's a very small town. So she seriously just gets out of her house and starts walking, and she sees a man driving a truck or whatever, and his name is Greg Stahl. And they show his picture, and he has a very...
They sure do.
Like almost a handlebar mustache, a large mustache. And he looks a lot from Saturday Night Live, Greg Stink, when they would do like the Vassengill women's gymnastics voiceover or whatever. But there's a character named Greg Stink, and I thought, so I just called him Greg Stink the whole rest of the time with a mustache. So Greg Stink is Beth's co-worker, and he drives by, so Ellen flags him down and says, have you seen Beth? Have you heard from her? And Greg says, well, she left work, and Greg is the one to go to police and report her missing, interestingly enough. Then we see Beth's brother, Dave Falk, who you said you liked right away, and I did too. Cool
I love him. I love him 100%. I love him. He's a good old boy. He has a mustache.
He has a very much handlebar, like down to his balls.
God damn it, I love him.
I stabbed at Maz. I stabbed at Maz. And she said Beth was missing. And then he knew right away, fuck it, something is wrong. So he wanted the authorities involved immediately. So he went to the police right away with Ellen, and the police told them, go home. She'll come home in a few minutes. And Dave said they pretty much just blew us off.
But I don't really get that, because when you live in a small town, like that's what makes me think. I mean, when you find out more about the story, you're kind of like, I know what they probably were thinking. Yeah. But yeah, at first you're just like, what? In a small town, if we would have told Ron the cop, like, Nutbar's missing, she didn't come home, he would have started.
And they would have said, she's just at Whiskey Inferno. Or she walked there and she passed out. And
somebody would have said, I saw her drive down Main Street, she's at Holly's and welcome.
So we get to July 28th, the next day. It's 9:15 a.m. Beth has been missing 18 hours, which is, now they know.
Is it long enough? Okay.
Yeah, something's horribly wrong. She would not do this. We see Sheriff Roger Brandner or whatever. He was the sheriff. Was he the one?
Or he was the sheriff.
He was
the
sheriff at the time. He might be retired or something. Yeah. And I liked him too. He was very professional.
I liked all the cops.
Very professional.
All the people in this, except the one.
And he said, well, police first heard about this missing situation from Greg Stink. He was going to meet up with Beth, and he said Beth was driving a green Jeep, and both Beth and the green Jeep are missing. She's not where she said she was going to be, or where she should be, or in her home. They're just gone. And they show the photo of Greg Stink again with his weird mustache. And then we see Captain Daniel Garrigan, who was a detective at the time in 2000. And he says right away he wanted to talk to Beth's husband, Dan Kutz.
Yes.
He is the spouse, and Captain Daniel pretty much brings up that's the first person you talk to. The spouse should know the most information. We go to them first all the time, as is our show, duh. And he is handsome. And for a small town, relatively, he's probably very handsome. Dan Kutz.
In some pictures, I was like, I would have totally liked to. He Looked like every guy I went to high school with.
But like for small town, he was probably a big small town star. Yeah. You know, and I feel like that goes to your ego. If you're a big fish in a small town and you're handsome, well, literally in a small town, you probably get a lot of
if there's
everything.
2,000 people in the town, there's probably in your graduating class like 30 to 50 people.
Yeah. And you've porked them all.
Yeah. If they weren't your cousin, right. Maybe if they were, I don't know.
So Beth and Dan met in high school, and you know, friends are kind of telling the story. They were flirting with each other. They dated for a bit, but Beth got pregnant right away. They did not get married right away, but they had the daughter. Then they got married and had the son. Dan, though, wanted to be a farmer, and he spent a shit ton of money and bought a bunch of land and immediately went into fucking huge debt.
Yeah.
And that's when, like, their problems just went downhill fast in their marriage and their life and everything. There was major, major money issues. Dan also...
Plus, they had two kids. Jennifer and Jason.
Dan was also a monster booze hound, and he was porking everyone in the town. He was always at the bar and always porking chicks.
And there was like a bar in their town, but then there were also other small towns around there, and he was at those bars too.
Constantly. Now, Beth was the one that was working and bringing in the money, and Dan was not bringing in any money.
Because she was at Demco there.
And not working at all. So all the money was hers, and she was also taking care of the kids and home all the time and taking care of the home, because Dan was always gone drinking and porking.
Right.
And so that's kind of the state of their marriage at this point. Police interviewed Dan, and he does seem very concerned, but he says he doesn't know shit about shit, he doesn't know anything, and they let him go. I wasn't sure quite if they were divorced or separated, but they weren't. They were still together as a married couple. Police find out that Beth, though, had a hot, sexy affair with a fellow named Daryl. And he has a brother, Daryl, in another in this small town. Now, Dan was cheating with everyone, but Beth was also cheating and having an affair.
But at this point, it was only Daryl.
It was just Daryl.
Right? Yeah.
Well, no. I mean, they knew of just Daryl.
I thought Daryl and her were done by the time she started having an affair with the other guy, right? Yeah.
So they found out about the Daryl affair. Now it gets to be 2 days later. It's about 30 hours.
What about Daryl? Did you like him?
I did like Daryl when we get to him. Yeah, he was a crazy guy.
I liked him.
When we get to him. 30 hours go by, and to the point where the police are putting up signs for hunters saying, just look for a body in the woods. I don't know how you would even handle that as a family member. Now you just know that hunters are in the woods looking for the body of your loved one. Just knowing, like, it's been this long, they would have contacted you by now that they're probably dead. I can't even, it's so horrible. Now we meet Andy, who I also liked, and he is a coworker that's in friend zone. Was friend zoned by Beth in like high school immediately, but knew her forever, and they were coworkers, and he seems to know all of the gossip. So Andy, when he found out Beth did not come to work or didn't call in and found out that she was missing, he worried huge, and he then thought, Daryl? Because he knew about this Daryl affair as well. Now, what Dave the brother says is he goes up, he takes us on the show on a little field trip and tells us where Beth met Daryl at a bachelorette party at a bar called the Hookers Resort.
Phil and I both laughed so loud.
Hookers Resort. And
they were very clear to tell us why it was called.
Dave was clear to say, it's because fishermen come here. Then call it the Fisherman Club. Don't call it Hookers Resort or the Sluts Sanctuary, Ladies of the Evening Retreat, Whores Hangout, Hideaway, Cunts Country Club, Slags Supper Club, Prostitutes, Corner.
Hookers Resort. There was even a fishing hook on the
it should have
side.
just been a dirty
It was so
lady in our evening. Like me. It's me in my sweatpants.
It was funny.
Resort.
We both went, what?
I can't. And then he went up. They met at Hookers. Hookers. Going to Hookers. I'm meeting some gals at Hookers. So Daryl goes up to her and asks her to dance, and the rest is history. The rest is history with those two. The eyes locked.
He was teaching her how to two-step.
Yep. Now, Daryl was a bricklayer at the time, and I wrote pipe layer.
That's what I loved. I just felt like this whole story took place in my hometown.
I feel like it did.
Yeah.
Now, the brother Dave says he had a feeling of the affair because Beth was talking a lot about this guy, Daryl. Mm-hmm. But friends like Kitsy were very shocked because they didn't think she was the type to step out on her marriage. Mm-hmm. They thought, if you're getting serious with Daryl, then you should leave Dan and end it.
Yeah.
And Beth did not want to because she's like, he's having affairs, I can have affairs, and the kids just have both of us at home, whatever, that's how it is. Mm-hmm. And so friends were kind of like, well, then, whatever, I hope you know what you're doing, Now, it did say that Beth did possibly consider leaving Dan for Daryl at one point. But we meet the real Daryl! Real Daryl! Daryl's at Hookers. And I thought Daryl looks better now than he did back then.
He did!
He looks way better.
100% he looked better.
He talks about the moment when he found out Beth was missing. And he was very, kind of just shocked.
Yeah, he wasn't happy about it.
They do the reenactment of when he met Beth, and his reenactment was the widest man butt in dad jeans. Absolutely just horrible.
I feel like the real Daryl had a nice butt.
I feel like he had a
jeans.
Tighter butt in a package for his pipe lane.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
And Daryl says, I taught a lot of ladies how to dance. And then he says, don't take it that way. But he meant he porked a few gals.
Yep.
He said Beth was fun, but it was a secret because he also had a girlfriend, a very serious girlfriend. Beth, though, broke it off, he said, and he was pretty upset by it. And he told her, you know what, if I stay with Dan, I got to make it work with Dan. And Daryl understood, and he said, I stayed away from her,
right?
Because that was her wishes, but said he was pretty upset by it.
Right.
And when the day when she went missing, he was actually, he said, up north with his girlfriend and her family, and so he is ruled out. He is not a suspect. The family themselves, though, start organizing a shit ton of searches for her body in fields, in parklands, in forests, in rivers, in water, in lakes. And I just can't, knowing, again, you're looking for a body of your loved one. It's just how difficult that must have been. And just not knowing.
And they showed everyone, like, in their waders, walking through the river, all in a line, because you had to
kick up a body.
If you could feel something.
And they searched all over, and more people joined from the town, but they just never found anything. Police hear of Dan's main mistress, and her name is Jill Gray. Is it Linda Gray who was on Dallas?
Yeah, Linda, yeah.
Now, Jill Gray is a sexy... Well, the reenactor is a sexy gal, but did they show her picture? She was cute. Right? Yeah, she was cute.
Well, maybe, did they show her actual picture?
I don't know if it was the cute reenactor or her. But I feel like she was a sexy...
They maybe had an old picture of her from high school, from like the...
And her and Dan were porking like crazy, porking. And they porked in high school when he was dating Beth, and it never stopped. Here's where they show a picture of Dan, and I couldn't even stand it. What this dick wore to high school. This dick had cut off a flannel, and he cut off the sleeves.
Yep.
And it was tight. Mm-hmm. This bitch then had Daisy Duke shorts that were so short, I'm surprised his bulge and package were not hanging out.
100%.
These were the tightest.
Jorts.
Tight?
Yep.
And the underwear sized. I mean, they were under, the balls should have been out.
It was like
they were
Willard from Footloose wore Richard Simmons.
Yes.
Jorts.
I mean, these were tiny.
Yes.
He looked like a straight up fool.
100%.
I mean, this is the most foolish outfit I've ever seen. Yeah. The tiniest jean shorts I've ever seen where balls are about to spill in a cut-off sleeve flannel. Mm-hmm.
Just standing by his truck, like probably in the high school parking lot.
In the high, like a lot of boys do. And then there's Beth next to him looking normal in a t-shirt and shorts.
Yeah.
Now, Jill and Dan stayed together since high school, where Jill was kind of always hoping she would be the Dan Kutz, and she wasn't. Mm-hmm. Beth ended up having Dan's kids, and Jill always was a little bit peeved by that, but always was at his beck and call. When Beth was actually about to have maybe her first baby, brother Dave had to search every bar to find Dan, and Dan was there with Jill Gray porking.
And they were in Wisconsin, so you can drink very early.
Yeah, you just drink all day.
When you're 18. Weren't they in high school?
I mean, you drink. Yeah. Well, you drink. Can you drink in that restaurant if your parents are there?
I think that's a rule. Yeah.
So now we see real daughter Jennifer, who was in her 30s at this time. It's just she turned out to be a lovely lady.
Yep.
She's telling how she was 9 when her mother went missing, and shares a lovely photo of a walk she would go on with her mom and her grandma. And when her mom went missing, she went to her grandparents, and they just kept telling her, Mama will be home tomorrow, because it was just so terrible. Her bestie, Kitsy, wanted the police to spend more time talking to that bitch Jill Gray. And she should be going in talking to the police more about this bitch nose tramp. But they didn't. Now we find out.
What episode was it where that lady yelled out the window was driving around her?
Satan. No, she yelled out Satan.
Satan. I was like, you bitch. Oh, but there was another one where somebody was bitch. That bitch Tammy. That bitch Tammy.
That bitch Jill Gray.
Yeah.
Now, for some reason, it was just discovered around this time that goddamn Dan wrote a $500 check to Jill Gray. And it's not his money, it's his wife's money from Demco.
He didn't even have a fucking job.
And this bitch, and so Beth was pissed because it's her money and it's going to this tramp bitch Jill Gray. Mm-hmm. Now, Kitsy thought that the day Beth went missing that Jill was acting very weird and she did leave work early. And so that's why Kitsy wanted the police to talk to her more. Co-worker Andy, who's friend-zoned Andy, said Beth told him that Dan was always fucking cheating. But he said, I saw Beth and Greg Stink at Demco holding hands and walking into like another room holding hands. And
that guy was like, I liked her when I was in high school.
I know.
I had a crush on her.
Yeah, Beth said friend-zoned him right away.
I never did anything.
And he said Greg Stink was one of those know-it-all types.
Yeah, he does not like Greg Stink.
He hated him bad.
And I feel like he likes everyone.
I know. Guy. And he didn't like Greg Stink, and Dave hated Greg Stink.
Yeah.
Called him a strange guy, and then just said, I didn't get along with him at all.
Yeah,
in fact,
Dave was like a weirdo.
He
said he was a weirdo.
He's a fucking weirdo. But they find out that when Beth disappeared, she was supposed to be meeting Greg Stink. Mm-hmm. Now, Ellen was not pleased when she found out about Beth and Greg Stink, because she said, you know what, if you're going to go out with Greg Stink, you need to end your marriage.
Like, I wish you would just get a divorce.
Yeah, just end it. Please end this shit and move on. She just said, you need to move on. Police are finding and taking in all this information about this marriage. The affairs, the money, all the drinking and the debt and the $500 check to that bitch Jill Gray. Mm-hmm. It's just ends up being all this information. But Dan admits to everything. Like, yep, yeah, that's how it was. And so he wasn't really hiding anything when they talked to him. And then they introduced this guy who just looks like this nicest grandpa you've ever seen, and he's a meat packer. His name is Tim. And I'm like, why the hell are we listening to Tom?
I was like, where did this guy come from?
But then,
you had to wait a little
see
bit.
Tom packing meat, and I'm like, why the hell am I looking at Tom?
Mm-hmm.
Now Tom,
he didn't even
live in the
cutting
town.
it like.
Oh yeah, it wasn't.
He was at a deli.
It was like deli, not a meat packing.
But they kept saying it was a meat packer, but I was like, that's not a meat packer. That's someone who works at Von Hansen.
Yes. Now, he is a highway cleanup patrol guy with his kids. And so he drove to the highway. The highway is like, in a city would call it dirt abandoned road, is this town's highway.
Yeah.
This is like 1 car per day.
Yeah.
But he went to clean it up because he's a responsible citizen.
We called those tar roads. Like, you were going to the tar because it wasn't gravel.
Oh.
Or unpaved.
And you forked in those ditches or in the gravel ditches?
No, you just had gravels and then tar. So you'd be like, go to the tar.
I see. I don't know because I grew up in a city.
I know.
That had cable and
a
phone. Inside toilet.
If people knew that I used to beg to have my mom bring my bike to town because there was tar roads there. Like, every day I rode my bike was on gravel.
Oh my God, I went to my driveway and down to my street, and it was all tar. Tar every day, baby, 24/7 tar.
Yeah, we couldn't rollerblade. We couldn't do anything.
I rollerbladed up and down forever.
Unless someone drove us to town first so we could get on the tar roads.
But his boys are picking up nice on this tar road, and they see a black object. And one of the boys goes over and he's like, Dad, oh my gosh, it's a purse. And Meat Packer Tom looks in it, looks at the wallet, and knows that Beth is missing because he says he's seen her flyers up, and immediately goes to Poynette Police and brings it in. Like a responsible citizen! And he was a cute grandpa.
He was.
Now, it's July 29th. She's been missing 40 hours. Mm-hmm. They see the purse. Well, they tell Tom, don't touch anything, just stay there, we're coming. They go, they see where the purse is, and it looks like it's just totally been thrown out a car window.
Yeah.
And they think at this point, she has probably passed away and is dead somewhere. Mm-hmm. Andy, the co-worker, when he hears that her purse was just thrown out the window, he said she never would have left her purse. Or her kids. Then he said he knew she was dead.
Yeah. Let's hope she doesn't leave her kids.
No.
But worries about her purse.
Now, Kimberly, who does the hair, comes back into play. And is like, she's currently having this affair with Greg Stink. Is he the suspect should we need to find where he is?
Right.
The same as Mom. She thought Greg Stink was very suspicious. And the fact that Greg Stink joined the search party but brought a date.
What?
Why? And Ellen was like, I couldn't even with that. That was
how rude. Stink.
It's like Ed Post bringing a date to his own wife's funeral.
Hitting on the twin.
Idiot. So Greg Stink was also a law enforcement officer in his past, but used his law enforcement privileges and computer access to stalk women. So he had to leave that job, and he got the job at Demco. About this time, about 48 hours after she's missing, her green Jeep is found. And it is in Madison at a hospital parking lot. There's no sign of struggle, no Beth, no video at the time, no even tickets to time everything at the time. Employees saw it on the 27th after 6 p.m., so the day she goes missing. And so it had been there for 2 days. They open up the back cargo area and do find blood, and they get only one fingerprint from the car, and it's underneath the driver's door handle.
Right.
Everything else has been wiped. So they send the blood, the fingerprints, to the crime lab in Madison, and they think, all right, we got some good evidence to start. But hairstylist Kimberly, who saw Beth that 2 days before, got some information from Beth that made her think, okay, she's getting in a dangerous situation. So she had gone to the police and said when she came to get her hair done, she looks out the window. She's giving Beth her perm. She looks out her purple studio window, and Dan pulls in, her husband, Dan Kutz, pulls into the parking lot in his truck or whatever and just sits there and watches Beth get her hair done for the entire 2 hours. And Kimberly says, did you know Dan was coming? And Beth was like, oh my God, no! And she thought Beth started looking like she was getting a little bit nervous. And Dan was just staring in the window in his car.
Yeah, 100%.
That's fucked. So is he fucking pissed that, did he find out about Greg Stink? And he's mad about her affairs even though he has been porking other women for years? I mean, what an asshole.
That's what narcissists do.
Oh my God. And what a dummy. What did you think? Anyway, Dan stays. Beth gets done with her perm, gets into her Jeep, leaves, and Dan peels out of there and follows right behind her. And again, that's the last time Kim sees Beth. So Kim tells police all of this, and police still are like, we don't have a body. We don't have a murder weapon. We don't have any cause of death. That's usually when you go to a crime scene, you see the body, and that's where you start.
Right.
And they don't have any of that. And now they go find Greg Stink, and he says he was at work until 4:30, and then he had some other appointment, and so he's cleared because the timing doesn't work out.
Right.
So both of the boyfriends are cleared, and they think, all right, we're going to concentrate on Dan. When he first went in to talk to the police, they took pictures of Dan, and I did notice, they didn't say it, but he had scrapes all the way up his arms that looked like fingernail scrapes. They took his watch to test it, and they took fingernail clippings, which I thought was very smart.
Yes.
Now the lab
finally the police didn't fuck
these fuckers weren't kidding. They were joking around.
Yeah.
They were getting their shit together. The lab comes back with all of this shit. It's Beth's blood underneath his watch. He didn't even wash his fucking watch. It's her blood under his fingernails, her blood in the Jeep, and his fucking fingerprint on the door handle. The only fingerprint in the whole fucking Jeep. So they arrest Dan for her murder, even though they do not have a body. He's arrested for first-degree murder and concealing a corpse, because he obviously
won't tell. Yep.
They didn't find her. Now, rumors are going around that Dan chopped her up and fed her to pigs, which is horrifying.
And I kind of remember hearing that.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if because it was in Wisconsin, so we probably heard about it when it happened.
Yeah.
But, like, I kind of remember that, like, sparked a memory, like, where or that must have seen it in the news, like, where people were talking
about it.
He started her to the pig.
Yeah. Or that he sunk her in some kind of marsh, or that he buried her in the new airport construction concrete.
I mean, honestly, he didn't have much time.
He didn't, because he was picked up and talked to right away.
Right away.
He was already on his watch.
Because her mom knew she was gone, like, 2 seconds after.
So from 3:30, it must have happened. And then 6 p.m., the car was in Madison.
Yeah. So
he
did not have much time. So that's why I can't imagine.
He couldn't have chopped her up. That takes forever.
Yeah, she has to be
buried somewhere in the middle of
somewhere, or somewhere close. Or in between there and Madison when he was driving the car, right?
Probably, and that could be long stretches of nothing.
Right.
Beth, has to this day never been found.
Right.
And he's never
and he won't
say
because
it. Jennifer, the daughter, said, I wrote my dad a letter begging, please tell me what happened to my mom and where my mom is. And he refused. And so she said, I don't talk to that fucker anymore. Then there's no reason to. But Dan, his life in prison, he was guilty. And I mean, it's just, then they just had crushing final interviews with her mom and her brother.
And her brother
and her daughter.
started crying.
Just because he just says, I still feel like I want to call her and tell her that, and I can't. Or I wish she would have. They had Happy Mother's Day Grandma cake, the kids for Grandma. Did you see that picture?
Yeah.
And he just. So they
and the mom said, thank God I had those 2 kids because I would have fallen apart. Yeah. But I had to raise those 2 kids. Yeah. And thank God
they kept me busy.
Yeah.
Just why are these men? Why? She didn't care that you were having an affair. I mean, the money situation was sucked, and she probably would have divorced you pretty soon. But why do you fucking care? You would have found some other woman that would have just paid your bills, you dumb dick. Why would you murder? Why does it go to murder?
I don't know.
And why would you take someone's life?
The weird thing was that it didn't sound like or seem like there had been domestic violence.
No, it seemed like they were always just
it was just whatever. You're cheating on me, I'm cheating on you, we live together.
We go to the bar sometimes together and have fun, and it wasn't a big deal.
But there must have been something really bad underneath. He snapped when she
or he found
started dating that guy.
And maybe because I don't think Daryl was a townie. Yeah. I think Greg Stink was and I think that maybe embarrassed him.
So it was like flaunting it around his face.
But fuck you. Mm-hmm. Oh, God, awful. Anyway, that's our story for the week. And tune in, tell your friends, share the word, share us on social media, give us a rating if you can. It all helps us get out there and have more people hear about us and listen. And
we also have a book club. If you like to read,
do you like to read them? Can you read?
Can you? If you can,
I can't read
this. If you have not looked at an eclipse and you still have sight,
you could do the Braille.
You could do a Braille version. If you can learn Braille really quickly after losing your sight. We have a book club. It is going to meet Tuesday, the 28th at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time on Zoom. We post the Zoom link on our Facebook group. And I'll try to be better and actually remember that we have it and not have to have frantic texts from Sarah like, where the hell are you, bitch? We read Zenith Man this month, and it's so far been everybody's favorite. We all love it. I have tried to reach out to McCracken Poston, who is the author, and who has been in contact with us and has posted in our Facebook group. He has not gotten back to me yet, but we want to get him there.
Pictures and said,
he was like, I actually thought this was a better podcast than what I previously
I thought these girls maybe were attractive, and I was incorrect.
Yeah. I thought maybe they had more listeners than what they did. But we don't, McCracken, but we still love you, and we loved your book, and we're going to talk about it on Tuesday. Next Tuesday, the 28th.
Tuesday.
Okay. Love you. Bye. And goodbye.